So David, there's no ambiguity, simple GSS language which everybody can understand. Sorry. So David, it also says that as the principal advisor, the Attorney General advises the government on matters of prosecutions. Criminal proceedings are also initiated solely by the Attorney General. So David, it goes on as well as having authority on civil prosecutions and others. So this is a provision of the Constitution. David, I'm not a lawyer, and maybe I will not be in a hurry to inflict my ignorance. But I see a greater part of the law is common sense. Yeah. It's also commonsensical. When a statute, a creature of a statute or enactment passed by Parliament conflicts with the Constitution, and in the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution, it was stated without any argument that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And that any other enactment or legislation or any provision that conflicts with the Constitution, to the extent of that conflict, is ab initio, null, void, and of no effect. Not so. So if any other law attempts to conflict with what the Constitution has mandated, that law is thrown out. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's null and void. David, what I just read to you, why would there be any ambiguity about who has the authority to prosecute matters on behalf of the state? It's abundantly clear, and I think that I want to leave it there for the settlement of the issue in court. Right. But clearly, David, and both Comrade Benamona and my honorable Moshi Boy have indicated it very clearly that in exercising the authority of his office, it will be in the interest of even the special prosecutor to have an active cooperation with the Attorney General, because he holds in his bosom the sole authority and the right to undertake prosecutions. So how will the special prosecutor fail to answer to the Attorney General saying that, oh, Master, can we see the docket and other things that you are preparing for the prosecution, so that because I am tasked with responsibility overall for prosecutions, we make an input or see how all of us can help expedite the case? Is there any problem with that? If you don't steal, why are you running in the market? If there's nothing that is untoward that you are doing, why would you not open yourself up to cooperate with the Attorney General to have the matter expeditiously dealt with? Because concerns have been raised that ever since we created the office of the special prosecutor, look at what has been spent on the office versus the output. Almost zilch in returns. So if concerns are then that there's lethargy, and more especially, David, it is under your watch as special prosecutor that Ken Ofurata left this country. True or false? You were the attorney, you were the special prosecutor when the man fled this jurisdiction. Did you make an effort to get him stopped? And in any case, until this matter came for Ken Ofurata to become a decent, even when he had left the jurisdiction, with all this in mind, should you not have initiated what proceedings you wanted to have until it became a matter on government for you to join him? So for me, like it's been said, this special prosecutor emits a lot of doubts. He is shrouded in a lot of this, especially don't take it. Bernard said something about Gabi. Gabi did not hold any post in this country, but Gabi was the most powerful. I will even say certain that he was more powerful than Nana Akufo-Addo as president. If you hear Gabi making a pronouncement, He has already finished discussing it with Nana Akufo-Addo, and it is a policy that and action that he's going to. So Gabi is the one who gives action to what Nana Akufo-Addo wanted to do. So Gabi was more powerful, and so when he started talking about Ajabin and that, it was clear. And so you think, with the likes of Gabi and others having a hand on the appointment of this man and whatever, that he will come down and run and go and willfully go and prosecute Ken Ofori-Atta. Because I said it a long time. Look, it was easier when they were calling for the dismissal of Ken Ofori-Atta, said that it's easier to impeach Nana Akufo-Addo as president than to remove Ken Ofori-Atta as Minister of Finance. Because the recalcitrant, sorry to use that word, recalcitrant 90 members of MPP who started the move, and I call them nationalistic. They were motivated by the mess the man was causing to our economy and endangering the lives of millions of Ghanaians. That motivated them to call for Ken to be removed. I said that it was more difficult to remove Ken. When it went to the presidency, Nana Akufo-Addo summoned a meeting of the MPP MPs and ran them down. He gave them, it's just one, I can't use the word. Right. But he chastised them in no mean manner, asking them, do they know how the MPP came to power? But for Ken Ofori-Atta and others, they would not even have gotten power because of his efforts. So clearly for me, David, I don't know whether you can veer into some of the matters, because I am extremely worried that when the US comes here and they want somebody, we are falling over ourselves to do their bidding. They want somebody extradited within 24 hours. I'm telling you, they can get it within 24 hours, even for petty matters such as even car theft, which you can deal with here. You have to extradite the person back to the US, and it is done with alacrity and speed. Now we are looking for a high-profile criminal suspect who is perhaps one of the most, how do I call it?
Was wanted?
No, wanted. The level of criminality, I'm looking for a word to describe it. Ken Ofori-Atta, perhaps never in the annals of our country's history has a criminal suspect done so much damage to this country, who is fleeing from justice that we cannot get back for a trial. Because if you look at from the damage to the economy, alleged criminal matters, from Ken Bond to SML to PDS to the book running, to conflict of interest, that you are the finance minister, a company in which you have interests. And I heard these periodic arguments, some of them were making his lawyers, that when he became finance minister, he recruits himself. He is a shareholder. In fact, he's the top shareholder in Data Bank. So even if he's not involved in the day-to-day running of the money that Data Bank earns, he takes the bigger part of the proportion. And then you are finance minister doing book running. For every dollar that Ghana borrowed, you have a percentage in the dollar that we borrowed. So no wonder the man was not just borrowing because of the needs of the country. He had run amok and was doing reckless borrowing, because for every dollar Ken Ofori-Atta borrowed, Data Bank will make money out of it in the book running. Not only that, I heard you talking about insurance and the hypocrisy of some of these our how do you call them? Not NGOs. What do you call them? Social civil society organizations. They are talking about insurance. When under MPP Ken Ofori-Atta, Enterprise Insurance did all the insurance almost for state transactions. So while Data Bank was doing book running for loans we were borrowing, the insurance aspect of the loans was being taken by Enterprise Insurance, also owned by Ken Ofori-Atta. This is a criminal activity. Look, if we are going to diagnose and go into all the matters, David, this man is more than a nuclear bomb. And so clearly for me, we have to sit up Because the US can come and they want, can we take one day to go through our laws and get them extradited? But we do that, we facilitate that for them. When we go there after months, I cannot believe it, that the reason why Kenoforeta can be let off is that there was no evidence to present that he was a fugitive from justice.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. How could that have happened? That we didn't have the opportunity to present all this evidence that why we want Kenoforeta, for them to arrive at that conclusion. I don't think we should take it lying down. So, David, there has been a common saying that when you sell yourself for a penny, they will buy you for nothing. Yeah. I am sure that if you continue to respond to the US in this manner and expedite fugitives from justice and extradite them to US, and they continue to do that, and we must reciprocate. Like Idi say, we must retaliate.
Right.
And so for me, there can't be any substitute to watering down. Ghanaians demand of us. In fact, one of the reasons why they gave us this ringing mandate, David, is because they trust that under our watch we will exact accountability. Nobody has a right to function in government. While government is an entity that exists of necessity to serve society, nobody has a bounding right to function as an appointee in government.
Right.
That is a privilege. And once you take that privilege, you must open yourself to accountability. Kenoforeta is running away from accountability. Every possible step we can take, David, to bring him back to the jurisdiction and let him answer, we should do it. But in the ultimate, I've been asking this question. So if Kenoforeta doesn't come, is it not possible to still prosecute him in absentia?
I think that proceedings, that prosecution is ongoing. They started prosecutions. Right?
David, that is why we are saying that up to this time, you are involved in this procedural wrangling. And
exactly.
I'm sure that is why the Attorney General is trying to have has joined this suit to have this matter resolved
once and for all.
So that look, if he takes over the prosecution, you can accelerate the tempo of that decision, because I can say without any out of that, Ghanaians are getting concerned about the speed at which we are exacting this accountability.
Right.
I want to believe that even on that leg alone, we are able to hold these people to account, retrieve some monies, and let them serve that penal sentences.
Right.
David, it will further catapult our image integrity in the minds of Ghanaians. Right. So I think that without any shred of doubt, we must accelerate this matter and get it resolved, so that I don't know how long, if you are going to follow this matter in court with this SF14 matter that Attorney General has joined, because matters can drag for years. Yeah. And so if you are going to wait sometimes even for the resolution of these matters, I believe that we will not reach any amicable conclusion. And so given this particular matter, His Excellency the President is the appointee of all these people. I think that the President must take an active and immediate interest in this matter and get this matter sorted out, so that the accountability, and I have no doubt in my mind that President Mahama is anchored solidly on the pedestal that every appointee must account for his stewardship, including even his own appointees, right. Let alone even those who are members of the MPP, to whom he himself has agreed that they have totally messed up everything in this country. And so, David, there can't be any substitute to us getting this justice for the good people of this country.
All right, we'll come back and deal with this insurance thing, but I want us to have a quick look around the fuel situation, and then we'll come back. Or we should just tie in that one as well. The petitions that we are reported to have been placed at the office of the president, coming from Imani at the back of this insurance, thing, because the question is this: is it is it leading to state capture, right? Or is it just giving some live wine to some of the SOEs? Imani is petitioning the presidency to have this issue looked into. Apparently, there's been a directive from SIGA, the State Interest Governance Authority, directing some SOEs to deal directly with certain insurance companies. Imani thinks that this directive, doesn't speak well, because you are sidelining other agencies, the insurance companies. Why don't we open up the issues, or yes, open up procurement, tendering bidding, so to speak, so that the various insurance companies will have the right to bid for whatever insurance cover that some of these companies, will want to go into. Imani feels that this might lead to some kind of state capture, the directing going to SOEs to deal with certain specific, insurance company. So that's what we want to have a look at.
Yeah, David, let him take this first. And I intend to be very brief.
Please be.
So that we can get time for this fuel thing that you're talking about. David, anytime, anywhere, there are suspicions of state capture, I believe as the people, all of us, should show interest in trying to get to the bottom, so that we have a very transparent, open process where everybody who is qualified can participate. But I am amazed at the level of duplicity and hypocrisy of those who are making this call. David, I believe Imani was not incorporated on the 7th of January 2025 when President Mahama came. Am I right?
No.
Imani was already in the country and functioning as. Was Imani here when Kenufurata, what I just said, Kenufurata's company was doing all the book running for our loans. So from the Ken bond, $2.25 billion. I'm not talking, David, if you have a calculator, multiply that one. And the MPP when the dollar was 17. Because that was their time. I lie. Multiply 2.25 billion times 17. Okay? That was for only one transaction. And we are talking about at the end of the period, tens of billions of dollars that Kenufurata's company did while he was finance minister. This one is not state capture. In fact, it's capture of Ghanaians, enslavement of all of us to Kenufurata and his companies. And like I told you, he added his insurance company, Enterprise Insurance. David, look at an armed robber pontificating morals to a pickpocket. You can mount the pulpit as an accomplished, outstanding armed robber, and you criticize the pickpocket for taking one CD from people. You are taking bullion vans. So David, I'm astounded by that hypocrisy. For you to stand on the pedestal of accountability, you must yourself exude a certain level.
Would that not amount to political interference, or even to the level of political what people describe from government? I'm talking about this insurance bill, right? That you are directing
David,
companies or state-owned agencies to deal specifically.
David, I just said,
right,
from
when they are procurement policies and regulations.
I said from the very beginning. I'm sure you listened to me when I said that in any area where we feel some infractions are there as a people, all of us must be concerned enough to get the process opened up,
right,
for all who qualify to participate. That's what I said at the very beginning of my lesson. So no doubt about that. But those making the call seem to be creating the impression that state capture, or so-called state capture they are talking about today, has only happened, and that this is the first time in the history of the country they are saying something like that. That's why I've taken you back.
That's right.
That these same institutions existed when worse things were happening. And here you are talking about, even sometimes you are talking about state insurance company, which is a state entity. So yes, even creating that, you may have questions to ask, but that is still a state entity. Make a distinction between that and a private entity whose proceeds go into the pocket of individuals and not the state. Okay, David, there are sometimes some interventions the state may make in order to rescue important state enterprises. I'll give you an example. In 2013, I was a member of the board of a Ghana Publishing Company. David, the company when we met it was in total shambles. It has collapsed. They have not paid salaries for close to 9 months. They were hugely indebted. In fact, it was anybody who saw it was a total write-off. So as members of the board, we had a duty to try and see how you could rescue it. So David, we had to make interventions with government for government to say a certain percentage of printing contracts should be given to Ghana Publishing Company as an intervention to rescue that important company. So for instance, if the EC is going to print ballot papers, right, and they are given to the private sector and others, they can give about 10-15% to Ghana Publishing, so that it will help revive the company. That is not a criminal act. It's a positive intervention to revive, because even in reviving those companies, we are going to protect jobs. A lot of the people would have been sent home. Right. So you are looking at the gamut of things. So don't make that comparison as if it's the same thing with the private sector, where it goes into private hands and whatever they earn goes into the pocket of somebody. You are saving jobs. You are giving incomes to people. You are saving families.
We are also stifling other companies.
I am saying that,
right?
Like
if it goes through the argument is that if it goes through the procurement process,
yes,
let the qualified company win.
No argument
because
about that.
If you direct to one person,
David,
or one entity, you are stifling the
David,
others.
I have said
also jobs.
ab initio that process must be opened up for as many people as possible to have it. That does not preclude that as the manager of state resources and others, when you see some of your citizens going down, that you can help rescue. David, you don't watch them to go down.
Right.
You can take some interventionist measures. Like I gave you this, right, in this example, they didn't give 100% of the listen to Ghana Publishing. 10%.
Okay.
The rest goes to all the other people who are bidding for it. That doesn't spoil anything.
Right.
And I'm saying that at the end of the day, the state is the benefactor, and the state includes all of us.
Right.
So by extension, it's a benefit for all of us as well.
Right.
So that does not preclude that. But I'm saying that you don't mount the pulpit of a high moral pedestal when you yourself are not clean. By your conduct, you have even shown that you have decided not to even talk about worst cases that have happened with others.
Right.
So David, when your anus is stuck full of cotton wool, you don't jump over bonfire.
Chief Comrade, please. I don't know what you think about this insurance thing.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a nationalist. And I always believe that the state comes first. State institutions must be protected. The private sector is invited to complement what an area of the state is not able to do much. And so it should not be a situation where the private sector comes to emasculate the state institutions. We have the State Insurance Company, SIC. There should not be any reason whatsoever, no justification whatsoever, that state institutions should be insuring with private institutions when there is a state insurance company established primarily for insurance in this country. All state vehicles must be insured by the state insurer. All state buildings must be insured by the state insurer. And indeed, contracts that the state has to be award must also see the state insurer doing so, because the state is compelled to have what I call a social contract with its citizens to generate jobs, to generate incomes, to create the level of infrastructure and development. if state institutions are not supported to grow, and you go and support a private sector, I don't mention any insurance company name, but if you support a private sector insurance company, will any one of us have justification to match up to this private insurance company and say, give us jobs? It will not happen. But you have state institutions that tend to patronize private companies because they themselves, or those handling those state institutions, have what I call extra interest in those institutions. And why are we talking about insurance, Alaji? Is it not the same for every institution? Go to our hospitals, all the state hospitals. Almost 90% of our health workers there only go there at stipulated time. They come there maybe 10 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, the doctor is not there. If you want to see that doctor, they will direct you to his private place where you can go and meet him, where they will charge you.
Yeah.
You go to Kolebu now, there are many doctors who will attend to you and tell you that your condition requires special attention. So come to my private hospital. When you go there, it's an extra charge. When there is a problem at the private hospital, you are transferred back to the Kolebu from where they ask you to come to the private hospital. Not so.
Yeah.
Go to 37 and many other hospitals. And this is what I say. If you want to be a doctor for state hospitals, you must not have to go and work in another private place, because that will mean you are not just, your interest and your concentration is not on where you are. So they come, the state, in most cases, they provide them accommodation and what have you. They use that one to go and build their private empires. We do so. If you go to national service, they are compelling us. Service personnel, national service come, Alaji, they come. And then they will distribute bank accounts. You go and pick them like lottery. Banks. And then they tell you, go to this bank and go and open an account before your national service money can come in. Who will do that? That national service is a creation of the state. So if you have to receive your national service stipends and you already don't have an account, it must be through a state bank. Why is national service now divesting and asking other private institutions to come and take from them, when there are coins and other things that these persons cannot take? Do you know what that means? That means that those monies will be left when they are not able to attend to their account. And those banks become richer by the coins that they get. So for me, it is unethical to have state institutions committing to private institutions and turn around to say that the state is unable to support, to provide the needs that we look for. And so I'm surprised, but of course, why would I be surprised? Imani Ghana is a so-called private sector. So they are championing that interest. Why are they not asking that all state insurance should be done by the state institutions? But let me quickly run to this topic, as I may have to leave in the course of the program. I think that we need to commend President John Dramani Mahama. He has his downsides.
Are you going to on the fuel?
Yes.
I'll let dogs.
Can I just sum it up, because I will not stay. I will not allow you
I'll
to.
be back in about 5 minutes.
I will not allow you. I've suffered that fate.
I'll finish with dog in 5 minutes.
No.
You wrap up.
No.
It's a promise. It's a promise.
I say me.
Because I don't want us to merge. I want dog to finish his, and then we'll
if
just
you
finish.
allow me, I do my point. Otherwise, me, when you move to this Moshiman, I'll allow him and then I go back to do the thing.
Sankana man. When Sankana
Alright,
man
so
says
you have it then. We'll go.
So my point is simple. Mama deserves tons of commendation, and we should appreciate him for this one that he has been doing. I've always had problems with some of the decisions, and I just stated that you cannot be Mr. Goodman. But being a good man when the people are suffering economic hardship, social difficulties, and I have said that it was Uncle Atuahoy who introduced taxes, subsidies, and margins on petroleum products in this country for the first time in 1988. Uncle Ato is just at Westland. You can go and find out. For the first time in 1988 was when taxes and these things were, simply because petroleum products are finding perfectly inelastic demand. It doesn't matter the price, the quantity you need to move from your house to this place will be the same quantity. Even depending on the age of your car, you need to buy more.
Yeah.
And so therefore, this is it. If today, international prices as a result of the buffoonery of Donald Trump is leading to international crisis, oil prices have gone up, then the president said, we cannot do anything about the international market. But as for the taxes, the margins, the charges, we as a government put them there in order that we can raise revenue for the benefit of the people of Ghana. But why are we raising revenue when the people cannot buy fuel? Please reduce those taxes so as to cushion the people. President Mama, thank you. Thank you. This is how responsible governments behave. Attending to their people when they are in tears and wiping their tears. And I think that John Mahama has demonstrated this. And I just have to commend him.
Maybe please stay. Doc.
Yes. David, I think that it is a very important and interesting submission made by my co-panelists. Just that in terms of ideology, even though I train in a socialist country, I differ. And we believe in an enterprise economy. You know, the argument raised by Imani, notwithstanding the time of raising this issue, I think that this issue has been as old as Adam in our governance architecture. And so I should have even expected them to raise this issue a long time ago.
Right.
Right, because this thing has been happening not only today, it's been happening for ages. If you look at our Public Procurement Act 663, Section 35, it stipulates there that all procurement of goods and services shall be through competitive tendering.
Right.
Shall. And we all know the use of the word shall. What it means is it means mandated. It's mandatory to any public polity who seeks to procure goods and services has to go through the competitive tendering processes. And there are exemptions under Section 38 and Section 40 of the Public Procurement Act. It is either through a certificate of agency, right, or where you use a channel of sole sourcing, where there is a natural monopoly by that supplier, and therefore the item that you are seeking, you cannot get it anywhere else but through that entity. Right? We did not see any directive based on what SIGA has issued. They issued a memo. But again, there should be a reason, there should be a rationale behind SOEs invoking Section 38 and Section 40 of our PPA Act. Do you understand? And for that matter, we've not seen that in ages. I believe in a competitive market. I am against monopolies. Right? And the fact that SIC should ensure certain government projects or even state vehicles and all other infrastructures of the state, I think that it sits well in terms of revenue mobilization so that it can increase their ability to employ more Ghanaians. I agree with that perfectly. But the fact that government would want to create a sort of monopoly for SIC and not allow the other private sector players to also come on board to have, you know, some fair deal, I think that I'm against that. And it contradicts my ideology of a free market economy and an enterprise economy. And that's why I said that my two panelists are more leaning towards the socialists.
They are unrepentant.
Social. That's why I said that even though I trained in a socialist country, I tend to differ in terms of ideology. So I want to see, I mean, a fair competitive landscape for the insurance industry, so that the private sector can indeed, if a Ghanaian-owned insurance company can also compete and do well, or do better than SIC, it's kudos to us. The more they grow, the more they employ. MTN is a private sector company. MTN is one of the largest taxpayers in this country and the largest employer in terms of the private space. And they are doing so well. Even though shares are held majority by foreigners, I think that it is time we also see how best we support that agenda for an enterprise economy and build a lot of our private entities so that they can be capable of taking advantage of not only the opportunities in Ghana but across Africa under the aegis of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Right. And David, I believe that if this government would take inspiration from the Great Transformational Plan, we have stipulated all that in place.
In fact, the same thing I'm told happened in 2014, and the President Mahama that time was petitioning, and the issue was resolved. You know, so I don't know how.
You see, David, respectfully, you see, one of the arguments the new liberal people make is that the state should be downplayed in favor of the private enterprise and private capital.
No, that's
and in so doing, they have sought to bring arguments that in itself, if you interrogate properly, undermines even the degree of fairness of the system. I'll just give you an example. You are advocating that do a totally open process where everybody would feature, so that the stronger will survive over the weaker. For 80 years, you had a government in place where virtually all state contracts and others insurance were channeled towards an enterprise.
Which is wrong.
No, I'm telling you.
That is not competitive.
The wrong doesn't address that.
That is not competitive.
It doesn't address where I'm coming to.
That is not competitive.
Exactly. So, but what it has done, the effect of it has been that it has anchored a certain enterprise on a solid pedestal that when you are going for the free competition, you can't compete with them, because they have acquired a certain strength by virtue of the unfair practices that you are talking about. That has not been dealt with. So because it has not been dealt with, when you say you are totally liberalizing that process, they will always win in a competitive.
But that is even illegal in this.
Exactly. So I'm saying that I'm talking about the reality,
yes,
and not the theory.
Oh, definitely.
What I'm talking about is the theory. The reality is that because they have been properly cushioned, because they have for all those years, they have gotten those level quantum of resources, they are in a stronger position to outbid all their competitors. You get what I mean? In reality, when
yes,
you open up a bid and you ask all of them to, because they are already in a
because it was illegal in the first place to give.
They cannot. So you have to take ownership of the reality and see how you can think.
So that's why we're saying that they should open it up.
You go in conformity with the law.
And indeed, David,
that is the challenge we are facing.
To add to what Alhaji is saying, if SIC is indeed able and competent, why would they be scared of competitive?
But just what I've just told you.
Yes, my point is that, Honorable, the government of the day has changed, right? I know that the status quo will definitely change, right? The Ministry of Finance, through the central bank, can even pump in some liquidity into SIC to increase their capital so that they can support them for the shortfalls or the deficits that they incurred under the previous administration. They can resuscitate that enterprise. So I think that argument is well made late. I concur to the same argument, right? That indeed what the MPP did was an illegality, because all state enterprises that are seeking goods and services must go through the competitive tendering process, number one, unless there are matters of agency. That is where you can evoke section 38 and section 40 of the Public Procurement Act. And so what the MPP did was an illegality. And going forward, David, I believe that the panacea to Ghana's economic woes and unemployment is in ensuring that we have a very vibrant enterprise economy, where the private sector would lead.
I've always had my reservation, but it looks like anytime we use the NPP as a benchmark, right? We've complained 8 years they ran the country down, right? So most of the things that were done did not augur well for us as a country.
That's right.
Why do we use them as a benchmark?
Because
always the argument comes that because the NPP did it.
Because
the NPP did it. Because the NPP did it.
I'm just telling
it shouldn't be something bad. Shouldn't be our benchmark.
I'm not using just as a benchmark.
No.
But David, I'm saying that those who don't learn the lessons of history are condemned to repeating even more egregious acts.
Right.
So, notwithstanding that, we cannot stop talking about it.
Right.
I'm not saying that we should be consumed with letting that hold us back. No. But we always refer to them as lessons of history from which we should not repeat. Right. And like I just said, today the strength of data bank and others is because of what they gained in the past.
Right.
Are you going to tell me that in reality we should ignore that? And that if you are just opening things and asking people to compete on the basis of their strength, they are no better endowed than say Glyco.
Right.
Did Glyco have a similar opportunity? And so if you say Glyco should go and contest with Enterprise, where can they match them? It's like when the West, by benefit of the slave trade and others, they accumulated resources and undertook the industrial revolution. And you are sitting here with your resources depleted. Can you compete with them?
All right.
That is the point that we have to grasp.
All right, so let's look at this issue and then we'll be done for today. Briefly, yesterday after the cabinet meeting, we've had, the president giving an earlier indication that we were going to have an emergency cabinet meeting to discuss the way forward as a result of the hike in petroleum prices. Well, that meeting took place yesterday, and after that, we had an announcement from the presidency that government, is asking or has asked the ministers responsible for energy and is it energy and
green transition
and transport,
green transition,
right?
Green transition.
Yes, I know, but I'm just green transition. The two ministers and then transport.
Yeah, there's a transport.
To in fact, immediately finance. Sorry, so energy and finance to immediately suspend certain margins and levies on petroleum product, and we've been trying to do some analysis, right? So if you put all those margins and taxes together, it comes up to about a little over 4 cedis, right? Including the development, levy, the 1 Ghana cedi, and all those put together, about 4 cedis, right? And if you take, because definitely there will be a shortfall of revenue, right? Because this is expected to last for just 4 weeks. So the next pricing window is next week. Somewhere around April 16 would be the next pricing window. So all the changes and the reductions will happen next week into the next pricing window when it comes to petroleum. Obviously, there will be a shortfall, and the calculations we're looking into roughly stands around a little over 420 million Ghana cedis monthly, right? So in the next 4 weeks, we're going to lose about 420 million Ghana cedis, right? So that's just some few calculations I want you guys to put into perspective. So definitely the reduction will come. So from next week when we go to the pumps, obviously we'll see some indications as to where the country is directing petrol consumption to make. And also the Ministry for Transport has been asked to make good use of the new buses that has come in, encouraging Ghanaians to use those public transport services. Doug, I want to start with you on this one quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know how you receive, the news from the presidency after the emergency cabinet meeting yesterday. Suspension of taxes and levies on petroleum products.
Well, David, what I can say is that I'm seeing an Alan Tramantin character in His Excellency the President, because he has shown that he is a listening leader and a man that is for the people. I mean, why do governments rake in tax revenue? To support development of the people. And so if there is an existential threat or a global conflict that seeks to be inimical to the economic development of its people, then of course it is rational for any government to step in, just like Thailand and Bangladesh is doing currently. So what President Mahama has done, other countries are also implementing same fiscal measures.
Yeah.
And I believe that in the short term, it is good for Ghana, right? It is good for consumers. And it would also support a lot of livelihoods, because at the end of the day, it's the poor that suffer, right? If the cost of transportation goes high, it's the poor that suffer.
We run an energy economy.
Exactly.
Food.
The food inflation would also be skyrocketing, because anytime there's an increase in fuel prices, it affects food inflation, right? Yeah. And so I think that it is one of the best policy, short-term policy intervention under the aegis of this government, and we need to commend them. Now, David, let's look at long-term. Now, this is where I want us to open our brains and assimilate these proposals from the United Party. Under the aegis of our Fourth Republic, it's been over 30 years now. We know that in our current economic dispensation, anytime there is a global issue, it has a cascading effect on the Ghanaian economy. COVID-19 has taught us a bitter lesson. The 2008 financial crisis taught us a bitter lesson. What did we do afterwards? How have we mutated our economic structures to be able to withstand these shocks? These are the things that we have failed to tackle as a country. Look at our transport sector. 97% of goods, services, and people move through the road transport system. That, in this sense, is a failure. Yeah. Because number one, the cost of even constructing roads in this country is very expensive. Our roads infrastructure is inadequate, right? We cannot rely on fossil fuel, taking into consideration the effects of climate change and even the health, public health, because according to the WHO, 28,000 Ghanaians die each year due to air pollution, of which 45% is contributed by our road transport system. So a rational government should put in policies in place. If you don't have the money, let the private sector come in to build your railways through a build, operate, and transfer facility, so that we can even have an intra-city railway network like the US has, like Australia has with tram systems and all that. Under the previous administration, they promised us what? The Sky Train.
Yeah. $2 million.
Yes.
Gone.
$2 million gone. It was a fantastic project, but unfortunately, it was another avenue for what? Loot and share. David, from Accra to Kumasi, Accra to Tamale, from Tema to Boko, we should have a railway network. From the east, west, central belt, northern belt, everywhere should have a regional.
Sea transport along the coast.
Exactly.
Moving from Accra to Cape Coast. I don't see why we should go by road.
And even from the northern region, where I'm talking about Savannah region, Makango, Bupe,
the Volta Lake,
through the Volta Lake and the Volta River, which spans 1,500 kilometers from the north to the south. Yeah. We can revamp the Volta Lake Transport Company, so that transporting goods and people from the northern region to the middle belt to the southern aspect of our country would be easier and cheaper. Then we move to what? A more radical shift. And that is why I commend him for incorporating green transition into the Ministry of Energy.
But how green are we even thinking when we are bringing in more fossil fuel, buses?
That's where I'm coming to.
Yeah. Because you see, those are interim measures. In the interim, you can't bring railway now.
No, but
you can bring EVs.
That is why, David.
Sometimes you look at even cost.
David, I'm one of the proponents. I must indicate on this platform that I'm one of the proponents formulating a charter to bring about a Ghana Chamber of Commerce for EV, an EV chamber.
Okay.
Yes, for EV vehicles, and then policy advocacy. We need to incorporate EVs in our road transport system. Okay. Imagine if Ghana's transport fleets, at least 50% were dominated by EVs. We will not have a major effect by the war happening in the Middle East. There will not be any effect on our economy. Right? And, there is something happening at customs and GRA. The taxes on EV vehicles, David, is even more than these internal combustion engines vehicles that we bring in, second-hand and salvage vehicles. And it does not make sense at all. And so we are pleading with the president that he should abolish the taxes, import duties on EV vehicles for a period of maybe 10 years. And bring about incentives so that even other companies in the private sector can even assemble semi-knockdown EV vehicles locally in Ghana to support our EV drive and green transition.
Right.
So that it would have a benefit on our economy. Look, to charge a vehicle, EV vehicle, that would take you from Accra to Kumasi, costs about 200 cedis. Can you imagine? 200 cedis.
Wow.
200 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
From Accra to Kumasi. So if I'm going to Kavli, you can imagine how much I'll pay.
That's why when you say wow, I was like, whoa.
You know, David. So I think that President Mahama has shown that he means well. I want him to further escalate these things towards a green transition in the long term so that it would have a sustainable transformational effect onto the Ghanaian economy.
Right. But in between, Alaji was saying the buses were an emergency situation. We have used the EVs from your policy orientation. We could have.
I think that the 100 ICE buses was needless. We should have used EVs, in my own opinion. It should have been EV buses.
Was it easy to assess them?
Oh, easy. China has a huge... it will be cheaper, Alaji. And in terms of maintenance as well, it's cheaper.
And accessibility.
So, maintenance and all that, it's cheaper.
I think that your ideas you are espousing are progressive and worth looking at. I think that they will contribute to helping us have a very firm grip of the situation.
Alaji, take us home.
Yes. You see, first, David, if you are suffering in hell, blame death. What we are going through now is the product of the action of some two madmen who just decided to throw the world, a rules-based world. Today, I can tell you that that rules-based world has collapsed. Because the United Nations that sprang from the ashes of the Second World War gave promise to mankind that never again should mankind resort to capricious, arbitrary use of force to resolve conflicts. Never should we again anchor international relations and international law on the ambit of the interests of the stronger. That brute force and might should be the order in which the international community should function. Never. That was what put in. What has happened today, where in flagrant violation of international law, you decided so moto to just launch an unprovoked aggression on another state of the international community, that the US will decide to fight the war of Israel by just launching an unprovoked attack against Iran on the pretext of, we have seen this pretext before. Didn't they say they were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and went there and destroyed everything and invaded what was found? Iran, they say nuclear weapons. Is that not so? Yeah. Is there a nuclear weapon? They say attempting to get it. And I have said that argument is so selfish and greedy that we should not even tolerate that argument. Who arrogates to other nations the right that they have a right to acquire nuclear weapons, but others don't have that right? Who gave them that right to think so? Where did they get it from? Did God create some nations and give them the right that these nations go and look for nuclear weapons, the rest of them you have no right to acquire nuclear weapons? Where is that logic coming from? And even it's more spurious when the argument is even made that some nations may not be responsible. So if they get a nuclear weapon, they are likely to use it. Who in the whole world has ever used nuclear weapons? Tell me, don't we know the country that has used nuclear weapons? So if you are going to ask for people who are reckless, can't we cite them as an example? That those who have not even acquired it, and you are assuming they will be reckless. You have acquired it. You have been reckless because you have used it and we know you. So what should we do to you? So I'm just saying that is them. But David, I think that international studies by the International Energy Commissions have established that this is the most impactful global crisis afflicting economies since the 1970s. Far reaching, where in a matter of hours oil prices jumped to over nearly $120 a barrel. Never in the last 50 years or so have we had that kind of distance. So obviously, across the length and breadth of the world, there's widespread disruptions. I told you that I was looking at Al Jazeera and some CNN and some news work, and in some countries, fuel, they don't even have fuel.
Yeah. People have been asked to park their vehicles.
Shortages and others are rampant, where governments have had to issue new policy directives asking people who have bicycles and others to suddenly dust their bicycles and start using them.
So it's now
measures to conserve fuel.
Availability. Yeah.
Yes, it's availability. It's not even price.
It's not even the price.
Because even at that higher price, some people will even buy.
Yeah.
But I'm even telling you that it's not even available. I'll give you an example of my friend I was speaking in South Africa. They had a difficulty for some day or two. They couldn't go to work because of the fuel issue.
And people are in some countries, they are being asked to work from home.
So that's what I'm saying. It's one of the most widespread disruptions. So I can say that in Ghana, we have done exceedingly well when even you go across. So when I was even talking to my friend, so he said, I said even small filling stations, they have fuel. Just that the prices has gone up a bit. He said, that is everywhere. Even we had it this and that. At what price? You know. So I want to congratulate His Excellency President and the managers of the economy. David, part of it, why we have survived this, is the competent management of the economy, especially the exchange rate. Look, David, if you were to take it at the 17 cedis, even in 2024, at the exit or at the terminal end of the MPP government, if you are going to multiply that and use it as a foreign exchange to be able to bring in the fuel, I can tell you how much would have been paid today, would have been almost twice. But I've been telling people that is not even, if the catastrophic management the MPP engaged in, we had continued on that place where I want to quote Dr. Baumia.
When the fundamentals are weak.
Not even that. He said that the exchange rate was Midonyami exchange rate. If we had continued the Midonyami exchange rate under Dr. Baumia and Nana Akufo-Addo, today the dollar would have been almost close to 30 or something. Can you imagine if it was even conservatively 25? Multiply that.
How can 4 cedis in 2016 be Midonyami and then 17 be Midonyami? It's Midobonsam.
So this one there.
That was not Midonyami. It's Midobonsam.
That one he raises the two hands and says Midonyami Midobonsam. Because it's gone out of range. So today, it will have skyrocketed out of proportion that we can't even afford fuel prices. But thanks to the competent management, that's why I'm saying that you don't realize the importance of your buttocks until there's a boil on it. Today, we are beginning to compare and to see the difference clearly. So the noise making that the MPP engage in about this, and they should keep quiet. David, there's something we call attributes of humility. When you have a leader who is steeped in humility, his demeanor and empathy towards the people is visible. That is where there are miles of difference between the MDC and the MPP. When it came under COVID, or you take it that Russia, Ukraine, when people were complaining, that was when Nana Akufo issued Ethiopia.
L'argent n'est pas de bouée.
That so all those people who make noise should shut up. Okay, look at his demeanor, and he talked at Ghanaians. He didn't talk to them. He talked at them. President Mahama, even with this minimal increases, relatively, I'm making comparisons, has said that look, Ghanaians have been exerted with an additional difficulty to obtain because the prices have gone up. Let us listen to them and hear their voices and see what we can do. David, this is the mark of a leadership in humility, that you listen to the cries of your people and take steps to do something about them. They won't even listen. And even when they tell you that they have listened, they don't hear. David, there's a difference between listening and hearing. Somebody can listen to you who hear you, let alone hearing and taking action. That's another further step. So today, the emergency cabinet meeting, President Mahama convened as a result of which the directives that you read, to try and tinker with the taxes, because I think closer to about 40% of the petroleum price build-up is made up of taxes. So obviously, when the prices are escalating on the world market, like I said, fortunately, our dollar is still holding, our CD is still holding and gaining strength. So that has saved us on that leg. But still, David, the $400 million CDs extra that you talked about is conditioned on stability of what is happening now. It's pegged at what is happening now. If the God forbid, if the crisis comes back and it gets worse and fuel prices go up to about $150 or $200 per barrel, David, you are going to double this thing. And this is revenue that is supposed to be used to prosecute development across the length and breadth of this country. So it will affect development.
But David, there's also another angle to it.
We need to
yes, lastly, which I call the bittersweet situation. Yes, if the prices of crude oil increases, Ghana would also benefit because we're also exporting crude.
But we are a net importer of crude.
Yeah, $420 million each month from finished petroleum products. But I'm saying that revenue increase from the export of crude oil, the difference, we can use that to cushion the deficit we have locally through this fiscal policy intervention by the presidency.
When I listened yesterday,
oh no, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Was, what we were not told was the margins that were going to be taken off, where government is going to, shove up, these shortfalls that we're going to. I think as a country we need to know.
No, David, that's why the president
so the revenue from crude oil is also another bit they can tap in from.
Yeah, in fact, yes. I believe that the meeting the Minister for Finance
and Energy
will have with the energy will undoubtedly delve into these areas and even see how much would be the shortfall. How are we going to make good the shortfall?
Because
all those things are going to
we've
be part
made
of
a projection based on the previous crude oil prices for this budget. And so if it increases, then it's a plus. If the prices of crude oil increases, it's a plus for us to then do the difference between our projection and the current.
But I want to, David,
so that can be able to
just before Pan Africa, you like doing this to us. When we just have 1 or 2 minutes to add something, then please
go.
David, the resumption of refining by Tor. I think that we cannot do justice to this issue if we don't commend the management and staff of Tor.
Edmond Combat.
You know that Edmond Combat and his people, what they have done within just a space of a year. I'm sure that I've forgotten the figure. They turned out
$21 million.
$21 million profit within a year. This was an asset and the MPP that had been run down totally collapsed, and they were even contemplating selling it to one of their cronies
for $20 million.
But for the fact that God, Allah Almighty, in His infinite wisdom, putted them out before this thing. But I want to commend them for this thing. Even the fact that they are refining oil and putting it in the system has contributed to stabilize the economy.
About 35%.
And I want to commend them highly and also endorse this. And I want to believe that the people in the energy sector are listening to this young man. He has a lot of ideas in the energy sector. He's talked about even the green transition, which is part of the remit of the Ministry of Energy. Is to deal with some of these what do you call them? Solar, hydro, and even thermal. We should try and revisit the thermal district. Long ago, in fact, when Osajefu in the 60s, we had even had nuclear, nuclear. So I think that we should take it up seriously,
Okay.
and imbibe ideas. I have always said that the only thing is that I don't like the name UP, because it comes with a very bad
All right.
plus.
Okay. Thank
They
you so
have a
much.
lot of useful ideas
Yeah.
in their transformation agenda, which I think we can borrow.
All right, thank you, Elijah. Let me just do quickly one or two messages and then we'll be done. Seidu Isaka. All right, I've seen you on Facebook. Greetings. Oh, okay. You are watching from Tokyo. Okay, thank you so much.
Konnichiwa
Right.
to him.
What?
Konnichiwa.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for watching from Tokyo. And then Tahir Atibu. Good morning, my brother. Dagwa is what? Dagara is your Fafra chief. Oh, okay, all right. And then Seidu comes back and says OSP is playing a game. He's playing games with Ken Ofori-Atta. He will not be deported. Okay. Mohammed Musharudin. Good morning to you, David, and your fantastic crew. Greetings to Alaji Abi Husseini, Mohammed in Techiman. Thank you, Mohammed. And then Belem Tugri Suleiman said Benamona is right. I was forced to join Fidelity Bank 2019 when I had my appointment in Ghana Health Service. I don't know what you would say by that. All right. Then, okay, so thank you all guys on Facebook. Seidu Isaka, thank you for the message from Japan. On WhatsApp, this one says, good morning, David. Which one is a lesser of two evils? Directing all state insurance businesses to a private entity and asking that state insurance businesses go to a state insurance company. Do we apply principles for just academic achievement or to serve the public? Joe from Takrady sent in that. And then this is from Stephen Kwabenya. Why should enterprise insurance, which belongs to Ken Ofori-Atta, be used to insure government or state entities? We have allowed things got worse under the NPP 8 years without complaint. All right, thank you so much there. Okay, I'm asked to go. Last one. Yes, this is, please give me about a minute. These are very important. Let me just quickly do this. It's a Friday. Right, just a minute, I'll be done with this. Musa Abattoir in Asawasi, it says the government remains fully committed to finding lasting solutions to the long-standing challenges facing the cocoa sector. Okay, we've not done that. Okay, so the current one is that President Mahama has proven beyond doubt that he genuinely cares about the plight of ordinary Ghanaians, even in the face of the ongoing global tensions affecting the petroleum hub, which continue to extend or to exert pressure on Ghana's economy. He has taken a bold and compassionate step by absorbing more petroleum taxes. Thank you so much, Musa Abattoir from Asawasi. All right, okay, a lot of messages, but I'm being hurried out of the studio. Doc, thank you so much for making time to join us this morning.
To our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Right. Alaji, thank you so much for making time this week. And also thank you so much for doing the watching. God willing, we'll see you same time next week. Have a very pleasant weekend. Good night.